Hey, it's 2 o'clock with Tim Scott here at your home in the country, KWPC, 66 degrees at your radio station, and we're proud to be talking with Jimmie Fortune right now on the live line. Good afternoon, Jimmie. First of all, thank you for giving us a call this afternoon.
To be talking to you, brother. I'm down here in Virginia right now, and the weather's beautiful and in the mountains out here, so it couldn't be any better.
All right, that sounds great. Jimmie, before we talk about what you're doing these days, and I know you have a lot of things going on, I've been looking at your website, jimmiefortune.com. Let's go back to the beginning. And Jimmie, when did you realize that you wanted to get into music and do something with music? How old were you?
Well, as far back as I can remember, my family sang, and we all sang. I was 6 years old in church one Sunday when I realized not everybody could sing. I was standing next to my mom, and this man came in and was singing next to me, and my mama told me, that's when she told me, I said, Mama, there's something really wrong with that man. He's sick or something. And she told me, she said, well, Jimmie, you know, God's given you a gift, and that's a talent. Not everybody can sing, and that's the first time I realized that. But then I got my first guitar when I was 13, actually 12, and when I put my hands on that guitar, I knew that I wanted to make a living somehow singing and playing that guitar. And so I never took no for an answer. Any discouragement I ever had, I never paid any attention to it. I just kept doing it.
So, Jimmie, when you were a 12-year-old boy, what were some of the country artists you used to listen to, or did you listen to other kinds of music as well?
Well, we didn't have... at that time, we didn't even have a stereo or anything in our house at the time. I listened to the radio, my dad's radio, in the car, and, you know, it'd be, you know, somebody like, you know, Jim Reeves, Charlie Pride, you know, George Jones, Conway Twitty, Glenn Campbell, of course. I loved him, and then I eventually, you know, started listening. Once we did get a stereo at home, of course, I had the radio turned to every kind of station that I liked, and I fell in love with the Eagles in the late '60s and the harmonies that they had and things like that.
I see.
So that was kind of like where I cut my teeth on just a little bit of everything. I just didn't have one certain thing. I just thought music was either good or bad, and I tried to choose the good and go with it.
And what was the first professional gig that you had? Do you remember that, Jim?
Well, I had, after I'd been playing for about a year, the first gig that I actually got some money at was at my elementary school, Livingston Elementary, and we played for a PTA meeting, and it was four of us. We made $1 apiece, and I thought I was on my way. We went straight up the road and spent it on a milkshake.
There you go. Yeah.
And and eventually we just kept playing and kept doing high school dances and things like that, and eventually got out into Moose Lodges and Elks Lodges, JFW Halls, and it seemed like back then I always had, you know, $10 or $15 in my pocket from playing music. I always just had a little extra money, and it was from playing music, and I actually made more money doing that than I did anything else, you know.
So how did you get discovered by Lou and the Statler brothers?
Well, I had played for years in clubs back, you know, here in Virginia, and I was playing music 6 nights a week, 4 hours a night, and I did have 2 daytime jobs to kind of support my music habit. But I was asked to come up and sit in at a local ski resort up here called Wintergreen here in Virginia, and I went to sit in with some friends of mine just to have a jam that night, and it was the night before Thanksgiving, 1981, and Lou DeWitt happened to be there that night, and I got to meet him, and he was one of my heroes, and I didn't know at the time he was suffering from Crohn's disease, and he was, but I got to meet him and talk to him, and he liked my singing, and of course I told him I was a big fan of his. And after that night, I thought, well, I'd probably never hear from him again. And lo and behold, right after Christmas that year, he went to the guys, and he said he suffered from Crohn's disease. He was going to have to be out for about 6 months. And he told them, my name was the first name out of his mouth when he told him about someone to maybe fill in for him. And, I mean, I just can only look at that as being a God thing because, I mean, after all he'd been through and the people that he had met, for him to say my name, right off the bat like that. And then I got to audition for the Statler Brothers, and then, make a long story short, they hired me for a temporary, and then I was there for 6 months, and then Lou came back in July of '82, and he just said he didn't think he could take it anymore on the road, and so he asked me if I'd do it full time, and kind of the rest is history because I was there for 21 years from that point on.
And tell me about some of the hits that you wrote or sang while you were with the Statler Brothers.
Well, Elizabeth was my first song that I wrote, and actually first song I wrote, and I took it to the Statler Brothers, played it for them, and they recorded the song. The song became a #1 song. It was Song of the Year, 1984, and I won Songwriter of the Year that year for it. And then My Only Love was the next song, and it followed the same path. It was a #1 song as well. And then Too Much on My Heart, that was the third song I wrote for him. And then I wrote a song called Too Much on My Heart was also a #1 song. And then More Than a Name on the Wall was a top 5 song. It did not go #1, but it was at the time they just said it was kind of controversial. There were two Billboard stations that would not play that song. Kept it from being a #1 song, but it was still probably my favorite song that I've ever written. Was More Than a Name on the Wall because I get to say thank you to our veterans, through that song.
I got to tell you, Jimmie, every time I hear that song, it kind of tugs at your heartstrings.
Well, the way that song came about, I went to Washington, D.C., and I went to the wall because there was a lot of controversy about it back at the time when they built it, and I just wanted to go see what it was all about. And when I saw 60,000 names on one wall, and I saw that, it just hit me. I saw those young men and women and their names on that wall, and I saw mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and friends coming to that wall, and I heard some of the stories, and as I sat there and listened, that profound statement just hit me, that they are more than a name on the wall. There's so much more to it. Even though that's a beautiful memorial, I think, and there's some beautiful memorials, but, we can't repay them for a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid. It just can't be repaid, and there's no way to do it. And so I said, as long as I live and I got a breath in my body, I will say thank you and hug their necks and shake their hands, and I'll always say welcome home, friend, because they are what they did for us, the ones that went there and fought and got to come home. I'll definitely say thank you, but I also say thank you to those ones who died and gave up their lives for our freedom. It is a spiritually moving place, like I said, and if you've never been, if you ever go, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well put, Jim. I wanted to fast forward to the future now, and you're doing a lot of cruises. I saw you're doing cruises to the Grand Cayman Islands, Jamaica, and Haiti. You just released a new CD that just came out called Hits and Hymns. So tell us about that.
My new CD called Hits and Hymns is on Bill Gaither Music Group, which teamed up with Bill Gaither on this project. Ben Isaacs produced it, and it's called Hits and Hymns for a reason because it had songs in there like Elizabeth, Too Much on My Heart, More Than a Name on the Wall, I Believe, and there's also some standard hymns on there that are favorites of mine and favorites of a lot of people, like Amazing Grace, How Great Thou Art, Victory in Jesus, Just a Closer Walk with Thee, Rock of Ages, just to name a few. There's 15 songs on it, with some guest artists like the Oak Ridge Boys, like Ricky Skaggs and the Whites, the Isaacs, the Gaither Vocal Band, Daly and Vincent. Vince Gill is a guest artist on there with me. And it has just really taken off. It debuted a little over a week ago, and the CD debuted on country charts at number 10.
Wow.
I almost fell through the floor when I heard it. And my DVD of Hits and Hymns debuted number 1 on Billboard. So I'm like, wow, there is, it's a God thing. I mean, it's the only way I know how to explain it. And it's just been taken off, and I'm so proud of it. I really am.
Yeah, you got a lot of great material on there, Jim.
Yeah, and there are a lot of songs that, a lot of people have heard for a lot of years, but one of the nicest compliments I got is from somebody the other day. Said, they said, we've heard a lot of these songs over and over and over again in our lives, but they said, honest to God, when we heard it, it was like we were hearing it for the first time. And I thought, what a compliment. I said, I couldn't get a better compliment than that.
That is very nice. Tell me about the cruises you're doing.
Yeah, on February, I'm doing a cruise with Daly and Vincent, February the 14th through the 20th. It will be a Western Caribbean cruise with Daly and Vincent and Ricky Skaggs. And we're going to have a blast on that because we actually do a tribute night to the Statler brothers on that cruise.
Oh wow!
We'll dress up like the Statler brothers and do all Statler brothers songs.
That's great.
And so that's one night, and then I'll do my show. Daly and Vince will do their show. Ricky Skaggs will do his, and then we also team up and do just a jam night where we have the fans bring their instruments, and they come in and they play with us, and we all just sit around and play, and we tell stories, and it's just a lot of fun. And then in my fans wanted to go to Alaska this year, so we planned an Alaska, actually in 2016. We planned an Alaskan cruise in 2016. And you can find out about all those, the information on everything on our website, jimmiefortune.com, and also on dailyandvincent.com as well, and Ricky Skaggs. But we've been having a ball, and these cruises, I started doing them like about a year after the Statler brothers retired, and I thought, man, I don't know if I'm gonna like being on a ship or not. I never had done it before, and on my first cruise, I got hooked, and I can't quit doing it because it's so much fun. It's like, who would not love when you leave your room, you come back, your bed's made up, everything's fixed.
Right.
You can eat when you want to eat. You can go out and do. You see things that. You see these picture postcards or these magazines with the pictures in them. I've actually been out in the middle of those pictures and said, hey, I'm in a magazine. This is just exactly like the magazine.
Right.
or some of those postcards that I've seen through the years. And it's a great experience. And I just thank God for the opportunity, and it really blessed me to get to do a lot of things that I never dreamed I'd get to do. And when we were with the Statler brothers, we were so busy doing shows, and we're on the road all the time in that bus, and since I've been on my own, I just kind of take my time and do things that I kind of mix, I guess, a little pleasure with work,
Sure.
And I'm kind of just taking it all in and just having a good time. I'm having a ball.
We appreciate you giving us a call here this afternoon. Jimmie, I've been in country radio since 1975, so I've played all your stuff over the years, and I just got to say thanks for giving us a call and filling us in from when you got started up until the present day. It's been a real treat.
Well, Tim, I appreciate it. We couldn't do without you. You can get my new CD, and Cracker Barrel has my new CD, and it's also in all the retail markets, the CD and the DVD. You should be able to pick it up in like Kmart's, Walmart's, Target's. It'll be in Christian bookstores. And it's also advertised on TV as a TV offer. You can get it on BillGaither.com and also on JimmieFortune.com.
All right, we'll continue to pass the word on that, and we'll continue to play all your songs, Jimmie.
Well, Tim, I appreciate it, and let me know if you need anything at all, brother. And thank you to all the fans out there. God bless you. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much, Jimmie. You have a good rest of your day.
You too, Tim. God bless you.
Bye-bye.